Captain Daniel Hayes stood on the bridge of the and looked at the beautiful blue world below. There was nothing like Earth. Its oceans glowed with a soft green light, and its cities floated in the sky like crystals hanging from nothing. They were an old species. They had traveled among the stars for 10,000 years. Humans had only started exploring space 50 years ago. Everyone knew that humanity was far behind them. Daniel was 38 years old, with dark hair and a face marked by years of hard work in space. He had served in the human fleet for 15 years. He was not supposed to be important in this mission. The real leaders were the diplomats. They sat in the fancy rooms and talked about trade and peace. Daniel was just the captain of the ship. He gave orders and made sure the ship ran well. There was not a military ship. It was a research and trade vessel with 200 crew members. Some were scientists, some were engineers, others handled business with other species. The ship had weapons, but they were weak compared to technology. Everyone knew this. The diplomatic mission had started 3 months ago. They wanted to trade with humans for certain minerals that Earth had. In return, humans would receive advanced technology. It seemed like a good deal. For weeks, everything went smoothly. They seemed happy. Queen herself had invited Daniel to a special dinner to celebrate the coming agreement. Daniel dressed carefully for that dinner. He wore his best uniform. The uniform was blue with gold stripes that showed his rank as captain. He felt nervous. He had never met a queen before. The delegation was impressive. The queen wore a long dress that seemed to be made of liquid silver. She moved with grace. Around her were officers and advisors wearing the same style of formal clothing. The dinner was held in the grand hall of the embassy on the planet below. The food was strange but good. They served dishes that humans had never seen before. They talked about the future and about peace between their worlds. Queen even smiled at Daniel and asked him questions about Earth. It was the best day of his career. Then everything changed. A messenger came running into the hall. But he looked afraid. He whispered something into the queen's ear. The queen's face went cold. The silver dress seemed to turn gray as the light left her face. She stood up without finishing her meal. The messenger turned to face everyone in the room. His voice was shaking. He spoke in the common language that all space traders used. The princess is gone. Princess has been taken. Ships attacked the royal travel station. They have taken her to the moon called Prime. They demand payment. If we do not pay, they will kill her. The room went silent. Daniel felt his heart sink. There were pirates. They were dangerous. They had no government. They had no laws. They were just criminals who stole and killed. Queen did not say anything. She just looked at the messenger. Then she looked at the window toward where her daughter had been taken. Daniel could see the pain in her eyes. He understood that pain. He had a daughter back on Earth. She was 6 years old. He thought about what he would do if she was taken. The officers began to talk quickly to each other. They spoke in their own language, which Daniel did not understand, but he could hear the worry in their voices. They were planning a response. One of the generals, a tall woman named, spoke in the common language. Our military forces are far away. It will take 3 days for our ships to reach Prime. They have demanded payment within 2 days. If we do not pay, they say they will destroy the princess. Daniel listened to all of this. He felt a plan forming in his mind. It was not a good plan. It was crazy, but it was the only plan he had. After the dinner ended, Daniel returned to He called a meeting with his senior officers. He told them what had happened. Then he told them what he wanted to do. Prime is only 8 hours away from here, Daniel said. We have a small team that can fight. We can take a landing ship down there and get the princess out before they know what is happening. His officers looked at him like he was crazy. Was the chief of security. She was strong and quick. She had trained with military forces from 10 different worlds. She spoke first. Captain, this is not our war. We have orders to stay here and protect the ship. If we leave, we break those orders. I know, Daniel said, But a girl is going to die if we do not help. They need 3 days. We can do it in 8 hours. Lincoln was the weapons officer. He was younger than Daniel, maybe 30 years old. He had smart eyes and quick hands. They have better guns than us, better armor, better everything. We will all die. Maybe, Daniel said, but that girl will definitely die if we do nothing. Victor Pope was the chief engineer. He was an older man with gray in his hair. He had built or fixed almost every machine on the. He was quiet, but people listened when he spoke. I can have a small landing ship ready in 2 hours. I can give you weapons and shields, but they are not much. You will have to be smart. Daniel looked at all of them. I am asking for volunteers. If anyone does not want to go, I will not make you, but I am going. I have to try. Stood up. I am with you, Captain. If we are going to die, we might as well do it for something that matters. Nodded. I am in too. Victor smiled a little. Someone has to make sure your ship does not break down. I am going. 12 more people volunteered. 14 total, including Daniel. They were soldiers and engineers. They were the best fighters on the, but they were not a real military team. They were ordinary people who worked on a trade ship. They spent the next 2 hours getting ready. They loaded weapons onto a small landing ship. They checked every tool. They made a plan that was simple because it had to be. They would land on the dark side of Prime. They would sneak into the base through the air systems. They would find the princess. They would get out. Daniel never told them what he was doing. He knew they would say no. They would order him to wait. They would say it was not his problem, so he said nothing. The landing ship left at night. It flew fast and low to stay off the sensors. Daniel sat with his team and checked his weapon one last time. His hands were steady, but his mind was racing. He thought about his daughter back on Earth. He thought about Queen's face when she heard the news. He thought about Princess, somewhere on that moon, afraid and alone. He was not sure if they would succeed. He was not even sure if they would live. But he knew he had to try. That was what made a human being. It was not the fear. It was the choice to act anyway. The landing was hard and fast. The small ship came down on the dark side of Prime, far from the main base. The ground was rocky and cold. There was no air outside. Everyone had to wear suits that protected them from the empty space. Daniel led his team through the rocks toward the base. It was hidden inside a large mountain. They had cut into the rock to make their home. Daniel could see lights coming from inside. He could hear machines moving and voices talking. Moved ahead of him. She was looking for a way in. After 20 minutes, she found a large pipe that went into the base. It was meant to bring in air and water. It was big enough for a person to crawl through. One by one, they went through the pipe. It was tight and hard. Their suits made noise against the metal. Daniel thought for sure someone would hear them, but they did not know they were there. The pirates were happy. They thought they had won. Victor Pope was the last one through the pipe. When he pulled himself into the main room, he was breathing hard. The team was now inside the base. The room was dark and full of old machines. It smelled bad, like something rotten. This was a place where criminals lived. It was dirty and broken. Even though they had advanced technology, they did not care about keeping things clean. Daniel pulled out a small tool that Victor had made. It could see heat from bodies. The screen showed red and yellow marks where people were standing. He counted. There were 9 in the base. Only 9. That was less than Daniel had thought. Maybe their luck was getting better. They moved through the halls slowly and quietly. Daniel went first. The others followed, watched behind them to make sure no one came from that direction. They found the princess in a locked room in the center of the base. Princess was young, maybe 20 years old. She had long silver hair like her mother. She was sitting on a bed, looking afraid and angry at the same time. When she saw Daniel, she stood up fast. "Who are you? Are you here to help me?" she asked. "Yes," Daniel said. We are here to get you out. Can you move fast?" The princess nodded. She did not ask questions. She just followed them. Getting out was faster than getting in. They were busy in another part of the base. Daniel's team moved like water flowing around rocks. They did not fight. They did not need to. They just moved fast and smart. They got back to the landing ship in 30 minutes. Victor started the engines. The princess sat in a seat and held on tight. The ship left the ground and climbed up into space. Only then did Daniel let himself breathe. They flew back to the whole thing had taken 4 hours. The princess was safe. The mission was over. But Daniel was wrong. The mission was not over. The real problems were just starting. When they landed back on there was a message waiting. It came from the embassy on the planet below. The message was from Queen. Her words were cold and hard. The Queen said that Captain Daniel Hayes had done something very bad. He had saved the princess without permission. He had broken the law. He had broken the rules. The Queen said that no human had the right to do anything in space without asking permission first. The Queen demanded that Daniel be arrested. She said he was a criminal. She said that humans were not trustworthy. They did not follow orders. They did not respect the laws of older species. Daniel could not believe what he was reading. He had just saved the Queen's daughter. He thought the Queen would be happy. He thought there would be a party and celebrations. But the Queen was angry. She was very angry. The message was sent to Earth's government. It was sent to all the ships in space. It was sent everywhere. Everyone heard that the human captain had done something wrong. The next day there was another message. This one was even worse. The Queen said that she had made an agreement with they were going to release the princess in 2 days. They had asked for money and the Queen was going to pay. But now, because Daniel had taken the princess without permission, the agreement was broken. The Queen said that Daniel had ruined a careful plan, a plan that had been made to keep peace and protect the princess. Now, she said, they were angry. The Queen said they might attack the space stations. They might attack the ships. All of this was because of what Daniel had done. Daniel read this message 3 times. He did not understand. He had saved the princess. How was that wrong? One of his officers, a woman named Sarah Martinez, came to him with more news. Captain, the Queen wants the Earth government to arrest you. She says you have to go to her court. She says you have to face trial under law. Trial, Daniel said. For what? For saving someone's life. For breaking the law, Sarah said. For acting without permission. For doing something that makes the look bad. Daniel felt like something was crushing his chest. He had made a mistake, but he did not understand what the mistake was. He had saved a life. He thought that was the right thing to do. The Earth government sent a message. They were worried. They did not want war with they could not win a war with so they told Daniel to prepare for arrest. They told him that he would go to for trial. Daniel sat in his captain's chair and looked at the stars. He thought about the princess. He thought about Queen. He thought about the choice he had made. He still thought he was right. But he was about to learn that being right and being smart were not always the same thing. The Queen's anger was spreading. They were talking to other species. They were saying that humans were not safe. Humans did not follow rules. Humans were too dangerous to trade with. In just one day, humans went from being new friends to being enemies. Daniel did not know that the Queen's anger was based on a lie. He did not know that someone had told the Queen false information. He did not know that they had lied about the agreement. He just knew that he had saved a life, and now the whole galaxy was angry with him. He knew that he would have to stand in a court and explain himself, and he knew that no one would believe him. The Queen wanted punishment. The Queen wanted him to suffer. But Daniel did not run. He did not hide. He faced what was coming because that was what a human did when they made a hard choice. They stood by it, even when everything fell apart. The High Court was the most impressive building Daniel had ever seen. It floated high above the planet, held up by technology that humans did not have. The walls were smooth and white. They seemed to glow from inside. The ceiling was so high that Daniel could not see where it ended. Daniel sat in a small chair in the middle of the room. All around him sat judges. There were 30 judges all. They wore long robes that were dark blue. They looked down at Daniel like he was nothing, like he was a bug they could step on without thinking. The room was filled with other people too. There were news people from different worlds. There were officers from various space governments. There were scientists and traders who wanted to see what would happen to the human captain. Queen sat in a special chair above everyone else. She was still wearing the silver dress, but now it looked different. It looked hard, like armor. Her face was cold. She did not look at Daniel. She looked past him like he was not there. A judge spoke. His voice was deep and cold. He explained that Daniel Hayes was on trial for breaking law. He had taken action without permission from the government. He had interfered in matters. He had caused damage to a careful agreement between thee and the. The judge said, "How does the human answer these charges?" Daniel stood up. His legs were shaking, but he kept his voice steady. "I saved the princess. That is what I did. Is saving someone's life a crime?" A woman judge spoke. Her name was Judge. She was tall and had hard eyes. "You acted without permission. You did not ask. You did not wait for our government to help. You took matters into your own hands. This is not allowed." "The princess was going to die," Daniel said. "I had no time to ask for permission. I had to act." Another judge, an older man, said, "You broke our laws. You brought shame to our space station where you were a guest. They are now angry with us. They may attack us. You have caused great harm." Daniel did not know what to say. These judges did not care that he had saved the princess. They only cared about rules and laws. Then something happened that surprised everyone. Princess stood up from her seat in the back of the room. Guards tried to stop her, but she pushed past them. She walked across the room and stood next to Daniel. "I want to speak," she said. "I want the court to hear the truth." Queen stood up. "You will sit down. This is not your place to speak." "No, mother," the princess said. Her voice was brave and clear. "You need to hear this. The court needs to hear this. Everyone needs to hear the truth." The judges looked confused. Queen looked angry, but the judges told the princess to speak. Took a deep breath. "They did not plan to let me go. There was no agreement. There was no payment that would have freed me." The room went completely silent. "They told someone in your government a lie," continued. "They said they wanted money and that they would free me, but it was not true. I heard them talking. I was in a locked room, but their voices were loud. They said they were going to use me. They were going to make the queen so scared and so desperate that she would agree to anything they asked. They were planning to take control of. They were going to make our government weak." Judge said, "How can you know this, princess? How can we believe you?" "Because I heard them," said, "and because Captain Hayes found evidence on their computers. He can show you. They were planning to attack. They were planning to destroy our space stations. They were planning a war. My rescue stopped them. If Captain Hayes had not come, they would have started attacking within days." One of the senior judges asked, "Who told the queen that there was an agreement with the?" Queen looked confused. She did not speak for a long time. Then she said, "Advisor told me. He said he had received a message from the leaders. He said the agreement was final. He said we just had to wait and pay the money." "Where is Advisor?" the judge asked. A guard went to find Advisor, but he was not there. No one could find him. The guard came back and said, "Advisor left the planet 2 hours ago. His ship has gone into deep space. We cannot catch him." The judges looked at each other. They understood now. Someone had lied to the queen. Someone had told her false information. Daniel asked to see the evidence. Victor had taught him how to use computers. When Daniel broke into the base, he had information from their main computer before he took the princess out. No one had asked him to do it. He had just thought it might be important. Now that information was shown in the court. The judges looked at it. The news people looked at it. Everyone looked at it. The evidence was clear. They were planning an attack on. They were going to strike in 3 days. They were going to take control of the planet. Millions would have died. An advisor was working with the. He had been paid by them. He had told the Queen a lie so that they would have time to complete their plan. Queen's face changed. The hard, cold look was gone. She looked shocked. She looked hurt. She looked like someone who had just learned that her best friend had betrayed her. The judges looked at Daniel. Now they understood. Daniel had not broken the law. Daniel had saved the entire species. Judge said, "Captain Hayes, this court finds you not guilty of all charges. You are free." But Daniel did not feel happy. He could see the pain in Queen's face. She had been angry with him because someone she trusted had lied to her. She had been wrong, and now she had to live with that mistake. After the trial ended, Daniel was standing outside the court. Queen came to him. She was alone. The guards and advisors did not follow her. "Captain Hayes," she said, her voice was tired. "I was wrong. I punished you for something that was not your fault. I called you a criminal when you were a hero." "Your Majesty," Daniel said, "you were trying to save your daughter. You believed what you were told. That is understandable." "No," the Queen said. She looked at him directly now. "I was wrong in a deeper way. I thought that humans could not be trusted. I thought that a primitive species like yours could never do what my own government could not do. I was too proud. I thought that only could make the right choices. I thought that only we had the wisdom to do what was right." She paused. Then she said, "But you proved that belief to be false. You did what was right even though it was dangerous. You saved my daughter even though you had no order to do it. You acted from your heart, not from your laws." Daniel did not know what to say. "I have much to think about," Queen said, "about who we are, about what we have become, and about what we can learn from species like yours." She turned and walked away, leaving Daniel standing alone in the grand hall of the High Court. The investigation took 3 weeks. Every day, the government found more evidence of corruption. They found records of payments. They found secret messages. They found proof that Advisor was not the only traitor. There were 3 other high-ranking officials who had worked with the. They had all taken money. They had all helped plan the lie that the Queen would believe. The first traitor was a general named. He controlled the military. They had promised him power. They said that when they took control, he would be the strongest person in the new government. He had helped them plan the attack. He had told them where to strike first. He had told them how to defeat the defenses. The second traitor was an advisor named Stella. She managed trade for the. They had promised her money, billions of credits. She would be rich. She had helped them understand what would do if attacked. The third traitor was a scientist named Dorn. He had built some of the technology. They had promised him the chance to work with their technology. They said their machines were better. They said he could learn things that no human or scientist had ever learned. He had given them information about how ships worked. He had told them how to destroy them. All 3 of these people had fled when the plan was exposed. They were gone, along with Advisor. They were somewhere in space, running from justice. But their actions had left a trail of evidence. The government tracked that trail. They found computers where the traitors had hidden information. They found money transfers. They found messages between the traitors and the. Queen called a meeting. All of the important leaders were there. Scientists, military people, traders, and judges. They all sat and listened while the evidence was shown. The Queen spoke to them. Her voice was hard and sad at the same time. "We have been betrayed by our own people. 4 of our highest officials worked with to destroy our government. They wanted power. They wanted money. They were willing to let millions of our citizens die to get what they wanted." She paused. If Captain Daniel Hayes had not acted when he did, they would have attacked in 3 days. Our military would not have been ready. Our ships would not have been in position. Many of our people would have died. An advisor and general would have become the new leaders. An older judge asked, How many people would have died if the attack had happened? The Queen looked down. Our estimates are between 50 million and 100 million. Plus, they would not have stopped with, they would have attacked other worlds. They would have taken control of trade routes. Trillions of beings across many star systems would have suffered. The room was completely silent. Another judge spoke. We owe this human captain our lives. We owe him everything. Yes, Queen said. We do, and I treated him like a criminal. I accused him of breaking the law when he was actually saving all of us. She looked at all the leaders. I want to know something. How many of you believe that humans are primitive? How many of you believe that humans cannot be trusted? How many of you think that humans are too young and too weak to be real partners in space? Many of the leaders looked down. They did not answer. I believed that, the Queen continued. I was arrogant. I thought that was so advanced, so powerful that we did not need help from anyone, especially not from humans. But the truth is different. A human captain saw what was happening. A human captain made a hard choice. A human captain risked his own life and the lives of his crew to save my daughter and to save my world. She stood up. The human species has something that we have lost. They have courage that is not born from technology. They have wisdom that does not come from being old. They have the ability to act when it is right, even when it is dangerous, even when it is against their orders, even when the whole galaxy might blame them for it. The Queen's voice became stronger. We will no longer treat humans as primitive. We will no longer treat them as junior partners. We will treat them as equals. We will learn from them, and we will be grateful that they exist. She sat down again. Find those traitors. Find Stella and Dorn. Bring them back to face justice, and make sure that everyone understands what they did. Make sure that everyone knows that these people betrayed not just the Queen, but everyone on this world. Over the next weeks, the military hunted the traitors. They found General trying to hide on a small moon. They found Advisor working on a space station under a false name. They found Stella and Dorn traveling together, trying to get to space. All four were arrested. All four would face trial and punishment. But the biggest change came in how they talked about humans. News reports showed what had happened. Reports showed that a human captain had done something that the entire government could not do. He had seen the danger. He had acted. He had saved everyone. The reports were sent to every city. They were sent to every space station. They were broadcast on every news channel. At first, some did not believe it. They thought it was propaganda, but the evidence was clear. The trial records were public. Everyone could see what had really happened. Slowly, the attitude changed. People on the streets started talking about Captain Hayes. Scientists started writing papers about human psychology and human decision-making. Military people started studying how the human team had infiltrated the base. Queen gave an interview to a major news organization. She said, Captain Hayes showed us something important. He showed us that the measure of a being is not how advanced their technology is. It is not how long their species has lived. It is about what is in their heart. It is about their willingness to do what is right, no matter what the cost. She continued, humans have shown us that sometimes the young species can teach the old species. Sometimes the simple answer is the right answer. Sometimes courage matters more than power. The government made an announcement. They were going to give Daniel Hayes a medal, the highest medal that had ever given to a non. The medal was called the Star of Courage. It was given only to those who had done something that changed history. But more than the medal, something bigger was happening. The world was changing. Other species were watching. Other governments were watching, and they were starting to see humanity in a new way. Humans were not just a young species trying to copy the older species. Humans were something different, something strong, something good. And one human captain, sitting on a simple ship, had changed everything. The ceremony was held in the grand hall of the capital. The Queen herself was going to give Daniel the medal. 10,000 attended. Millions more watched through video feeds from all around the galaxy. Daniel stood in the center of the hall wearing his dress uniform. He still looked nervous, even though he was no longer on trial. He had been through so much in the past few weeks. He had been called a criminal. He had been threatened with death. He had been forced to defend himself in a court where no one seemed to want to listen. But he had always known he was right, and now the whole galaxy knew it too. Queen walked toward him slowly. She was wearing a robe that seemed to be made of pure light. She held the medal in her hands. The medal was beautiful. It was shaped like a star with 10 points. Each point seemed to glow with its own light. When the Queen reached Daniel, she stopped. She looked at him directly. Then she spoke, and her voice was broadcast to every corner of the galaxy. Captain Daniel Hayes, you came to our world as a guest. You came as a trader and a scientist. You had no reason to risk your life for our people. You had no order to save our princess. You had no promise that you would be thanked for your actions. She paused, but you made a choice. You chose to do what was right. You chose to save a life, even though the law said you should not, even though your government ordered you not to, even though the entire species stood against you. The Queen raised the medal high. This medal is given to those who change history. This medal is given to those who show us what we can become. This medal is given to you. She placed the medal on Daniel's chest. The crowd exploded, cheered. The sound was so loud that Daniel covered his ears, but he could still hear the Queen's voice. I must tell you all something, Queen said to the crowd. For 10,000 years, the people have thought that we were the greatest species in the galaxy. We thought that our age meant we thought that our technology meant we were the strongest. We thought that our power meant we were right. She looked out at all the people. But we were wrong. We were wrong about many things, and most importantly, we were wrong about humans. A hush fell over the crowd. No one expected the Queen to say something like this. Humans are young, the Queen continued. They have not been in space for very long. Their technology is less advanced than ours, but they have something that we lost a long time ago. They have the courage to do what is right, even when it is hard. They have the wisdom to act, even when the laws say not to act. They have the strength to stand alone, even when the whole universe is against them. She turned to face Daniel directly. And they have the compassion to save a stranger, asking for nothing in return. The Queen bowed, an actual bow with her head down and her body bent. A queen had never bowed to anyone before, not in 10,000 years. The crowd went silent. Then it exploded again. Who had been watching on screen started crying. Some fell to their knees. They understood what the Queen had just done. They understood that everything was changing. After the ceremony, there was a celebration. Food and drinks were served. Important people came to talk to Daniel. Scientists wanted to study human psychology. Military leaders wanted to learn about human tactics. Traders wanted to make new deals with Earth. But the person Daniel most wanted to talk to was Princess. She found him in a quiet room away from the crowd. She was alone. She wore a simple dress, not the formal clothes she wore in public. Captain Hayes, she said, I wanted to thank you again. The court gave you the medal, but the medal is not enough. What you did, you risked everything for me. I did what anyone would do, Daniel said. No, said, not everyone would do it. I have thought about this every day since the rescue. Most would have thought it was not their problem. Most humans probably would have thought the same thing. But you thought differently. You thought that saving a life was more important than following orders, more important than staying safe. She smiled. It was a real smile, not the formal smile of a princess. I have been thinking about the future. The Queen wants to make humans and partners. I think that is good, but I think we need to do more than just trade technology and minerals. What do you mean? Daniel asked. I mean that we need to learn from each other, said. Humans have something that we need, not technology, not power, but wisdom about what matters. Humans seem to understand that sometimes you have to break the rules to do what is right. We have forgotten that lesson. Daniel did not know what to say. My mother wants to establish new agreements with Earth, continued. She is sending delegations. She is working on trade deals. But she also wants something else. She wants to understand humans better. She wants to know why you are willing to do dangerous things for strangers. The princess paused. I think she wants to remember what she has lost. What is lost? In becoming so advanced, so powerful, we became weak in the places that matter. We forgot how to care. You reminded us. Over the next months, everything changed. The government sent representatives to Earth. The representatives met with Earth's leaders. They started working on new agreements. They created a mutual defense pact. They agreed to share certain technologies, but more importantly, they agreed to learn from each other. Started visiting Earth. They wanted to see where humans came from. They wanted to understand human culture. They wanted to know what made humans willing to act with courage and compassion. And humans started visiting. They worked with scientists. They helped military people improve their tactics. They showed how humans thought and how humans made decisions. Daniel returned to the after a month on. His crew was waiting for him. They cheered when he came aboard. They had seen the ceremony on the video feeds. They had seen the queen bow. But more important than the ceremony, Daniel had received a message from Princess. She had written him a letter. The letter said, Captain Hayes, you did not just save my life. You saved my mother from the darkness of her own anger. You saved from a threat that we did not see coming. But more than that, you showed the galaxy what it means to be human. You showed us that strength is not measured in weapons or technology. True strength comes from having the courage to do what is right, even when it costs everything. The galaxy has learned something important from you. Thank you for reminding us what it means to care for others. Daniel stood on the bridge of the and looked at the stars. The ship was ready to leave. They would head back to Earth soon, but everything was different now. Humans were no longer the new species trying to catch up. Humans were now recognized as true partners in the galaxy, not because they had better weapons, not because they had more advanced technology, but because they had shown something that many older species had forgotten. They had shown that being human meant something. It meant having the courage to act. It meant having the compassion to help others. It meant doing what was right even when no one was watching, even when the cost was high, even when failure seemed certain. One human captain, making one hard choice, had changed the way the entire galaxy thought about humanity. And in the depths of space, the jump to light speed and headed home, carrying with it the story of what it meant to be human, a story that would be told for generations to come, a story that would inspire others to be brave, to be kind, to do what was right. Because in the end, that was what made a species great, not the age of the species, not the power of their weapons, but the goodness in their hearts and the courage in their souls. And humans had proved that they had both in abundance.